Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the AFUL Performer 8. This is the latest from AFUL in terms of its international releases, and it's an IEM which joins the existing Performer 5, which is a 1+4, 1DD4 BAs. This is now a 1+7, 1DD7 BAs. And it's an IEM that has big shoes to fill because the P5 has been quite the success. AFUL started out in 2018, and then they brought out a whole bunch of innovations into how to build IEMs and provide IEMs with a consistent level of build quality and performance. And the P5 was the first one to showcase all of those qualities and all those technical abilities that AFUL has. So the P8 has some big shoes to fill. Anyway, let me just take you quickly through the unboxing. This is the box. In the back, it brings some characteristics, the usual stuff. It's a frequency response, impedance, and so on and so forth. The only thing really to I think, call my attention to is it's 30 ohm impedance, which in essence means that it shouldn't be a difficult IEM to power. It should be reasonably easy to power. And that's it. I mean, the rest is very much standard stuff. So the sleeve comes out, put that aside. Sorry. Okay, this opens up like so. You're greeted by this sponge card. I don't know what you want to call this. There we go. Oh, come out. There we go. Greeted with the sponge card, whatever. And then the IEMs come over there. I'll show you now the cable in a second. Underneath, you have where the tips are located. Nice selection, should satisfy most people, shouldn't really be an issue. Okay, and over there, obviously the puck, the carrying case, which is a puck style, which I'll show you. This is the standard stock cable, which is very similar to the P5's cable. Nice, doesn't tangle easily. Only thing that's a pity is it's only available in 3.5. Would have been nice if it was also available in 4.4. I've measured it. It fulfills those requirements that I call or that I like to have within a cable. Those of you that follow me know that I'm not one of those people that says no, a cable will make or break an IEM, this and that. No, I don't believe in that, but I do believe that a cable should have a certain set of parameters which are or level, a certain set of let's say goals in its parameters that should be met in order for it to be, in my opinion, as neutral as possible. Although that again opens up another can of worms, which means that sometimes actually that extra that the cable adds will actually benefit an IEM. But in essence, the main thing that you want is a cable that is as neutral as possible. That can then allow the IEM to showcase what it's all about and what its true performance is. Anyway, that's the cable. Like I said, it's pretty decent. I did some of the additional listening with it, but then I swapped over to another cable, which I'm going to show to you now in a second. This is the puck style case. Nice case. Reminds me of RSV case, Softier's RSV case. Very nice. Looks the part, looks the business. That's it. Out of the way. As for the IEM, here we go. It's very small for a 1+7. Tiny. Fits beautifully. I had absolutely no issues. I'm using the KB here, the blue color tips. And why? Because I just like these tips. They work better for me than the stock tips, although I did some listening with the stock tips as well, with the medium-sized black tips that come with the P8, but I then opted for these ones. I just prefer them. That's it. So fits nicely, no real issues. They're not heavy. 1+7 design, as I mentioned. In its design, and now going a little bit deeper into what are the things that AFUL has kind of brought to the market and become known for. It's the fact that they, first of all, were probably the first ones to really use a high precision 3D printing method. And not only a high precision 3D printing method, but a high precision 3D printing method in the internal tubing structure. And that tubing structure, as compared to the P5, is roughly twice the length So we're talking about like 60 millimeters of tube length for the bass driver, 40 if I'm not mistaken for the mids, BAs, and 10 I think for the highs. Let me just give me a second and I'll confirm that so that I don't talk out my rear end. Yeah, less more correction. So it's 62 millimeters for the bass driver, 47 actually for the mid bass BAs, and then 11 almost for the mid to high tube. Okay, so they pioneered kind of this very high quality printing method of those tubes. What that enabled was therefore a more precise and more a better execution of the tuning to be done, and then also trying to, by that method, trying to match any possible time delays that might occur, which, you know, in the case of an IM, they should really be almost minimal. But this is an attempt to optimize things as much as possible. So they're known for that. They're also known for the usage of a very high quality RLC crossover network, which not only divides all the frequencies more correctly, but it also tries to, in the process, to correct any possible peaks that might occur from the drivers and match everything in a more coherent manner. And then it's got also a high damping air pressure balance system, which is a system that balances the air pressure created by the air canal on the actual DD driver, and you know that this can cause some fatigue, this can cause some driver flex as well, and they've also kind of optimized that. So these are the three main things in technologically that AFUL has introduced introduced first of all into the P5, before that into also other IMs of the local Chinese market, and now here in the P8 those characteristics have been further improved to bring us an IM which is you know, I don't want to spoil things, but spectacular. It's a very, very good sounding IM. So that aspect, that technology, coupled then with you know, a high quality resin shell, the small size, you know, light structure, good quality components internally, you know, it's kind of the right ingredients to at least potentially give us an IM which is much better than its younger sibling, the P5. Okay, going on to the cable that I used here, I'm using a Gladiator cable. It's an Italian brand, and as you can see, they use some really high quality you know, terminations on the plugs, and they've got this nice Gladiator helmet theme going. This cable actually arrived now recently to me, and that's why I'm using it. And you know, I couldn't be happier, honestly. Be it this silver one, be it the copper one that I'm using here on the P5, or be it this mixed material one used here on the AUR audio AUR. The quality of these cables is top notch. They more than meet those requirements that I usually look for in terms of DCR, inductance, and capacitance. And they kind of join, well, not they kind of join, they join that selection of cables that I showed you in the previous video. So yeah, that's it. I'm using then the Gladiator cables. I'll link them as well afterwards in the description so you guys can have a look and see if you perhaps want to purchase and from them as well. The prices are pretty decent for what is on offer. I mean, we're talking roughly about 145 euros for that, a little bit more for this, and this one is 240 if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, the prices are all there on the website. You can, you know, you can look for yourselves and see. They've also got some cheaper ones. So they are not cheap, okay, they're not cheap, but the fact is, or the truth is, they are good quality and they offer performance of cables that I've had some really expensive cables come my way recently, and I wasn't really impressed, to be honest with you. Anyway, what do I have here? Well, I've got Lotto, DAP, I've got Venture Electronics RA2 with the warp core and the prime deck. So in terms of sources, I think I'm more than covered, and these do more than enough justice to any one of these IEMs here. So I don't think I will have anybody complaining and saying, oh, but you're not using a good source. Well, these are both two excellent sources. What else then do I have here? Well, I've got on the top there the Manga T2. Why? Because when I heard the P8 for the first time, immediately my mind kind of went T2. And then when I actually saw the graph and so on, yes, they're very, very, very similar in terms of their graph, of the graph that they generate. And there is a lot of the kind of same vibe of sound, although the P8 has taken things a notch above, and it is a better IEM than the T2. But nevertheless, the T2 still deserves to be here. It's got more than enough more than enough qualities to be deserving of being here. Next to that, I've got the Moondrop Blessing 3. Next to that, the Soundrime DT500, and that's actually the most expensive one that's over here. Well, actually no. Yes, because the AWUR audio AWUR is no longer available. So that's 459. This is 319. The Manga, you can get it for 249 if I'm mistaken. Then on the lower part here, I've got the P5, $219. The audio AWUR was $380. It's no longer available, but it's over here for a specific reason as well. And of course, the P8 for $369. So it is, in my opinion, perhaps you can initially think, oh, but wow, what a big jump in terms of price from 219 to 269. That's $150 more. Is it justified? Or yes, it is. To cut a very long story short, yes, it is justified, and it falls within the price of other similar 1+7 setups. Actually, usually at this price you get 2+4, which is the case of the Moondrop. A little bit cheaper, but you get 2+4. You've got the Yanyan Canon 2, which has just been released for $379. So it's well priced, okay? And its performance, which is the main thing to justify its price, is there. The performance does justify this price increase over the P5, okay? So I guess I've set here the stage on what is my selection of IEMs, and so let me get now straight into the sound of the P8 and kind of let you guys know what I heard or what I think of the P8. As I said, to cut a very long story short, the P8 is an upgraded P5 in every way. While the P5 was a well-tuned IEM that was that was fun, engaging, played most music genres well, there was room for improvement. There was room for an extra bit more polish in certain aspects, especially some people said that there could be a little bit more technical capabilities, a better soundstage, a better imaging, a little bit more polish in the way that the treble was done. The bass also have slightly more improved quality to it, and that's exactly what AFUL did with the P8. They took the criticisms, positive criticisms that were given to the P5, and they overhauled completely their approach, and they created the P8. How does then the P8 break itself down? Well, in terms of the bass, it might not have overall the same slam as the P5, okay? But what it does have is a substantially better quality bass. From the first listen, you get the feeling that you are listening to a real high quality product. And when I say a high quality product, let me tell you this. I have with me some really, really high quality gear. Namely, for example, Panon Impact. Okay, this is a $2,500 worth of IEM here. I've got here as well the Tansio Mirai RGB, $3,000 worth of IEM. I've got here the Supernova. Okay, the 7th Acoustic Supernova. And I've got a few others. There's no point now in showing you. What I'm trying to say is that I have here some IEMs which are very highly regarded, especially the Supernova is very highly regarded, the Dest TI as well, the Impact. And it was quite a surprise to see how well the P8 was able to keep up with them. Yes, they are better. Yes, they are better. Also, they are more expensive. But the simple fact that the P8 was able to give me that sensation that I'm listening to a real top of the line product, that in itself, I think is already a very good qualifier for you guys to understand how good the P8 is, okay? Obviously, every one of these IEMs here has their qualities, has their, plus points, negative points, and this isn't so much as, this isn't by in any means an attempt by me to say, oh no, the rest now is all garbage, the rest is all, no point in having them, this is now the one to go for. No, this is me trying to position the P8 among these ones here by telling you that if it keeps up to real top of the line products like the ones I've just mentioned, then we are definitely in the presence of something truly special, and it is something truly special, okay? So bass, as I was saying, it's very high quality. It's got a fantastic texture to it. It's lush. It's a pleasure. Honestly, it's a pleasure. It's very elastic. It's very deep heating, and that it's obviously a product of how well it's been tuned with that acoustic tube that I mentioned to you earlier, and the way that damping relief tube as well helps balance out all the air pressure. It makes the bass really be very clean. It's a very high quality bass, but that is very clean, okay? The matching of the bass into the mid bass and then into the mids is done, in my opinion, flawlessly. There's no bleed, everything just flows beautifully. It's in the words of HBB, where he talks about bass, you usually have either the tuck way to do the bass, or then the glide way of doing bass. And here we're talking about a glide method of doing the bass, and everything is just smooth, and the transition is perfect, and that just renders instruments and vocals a tonality and a timbre which is very, very high quality, okay? Vocals, so mids, are natural, they're organic, they sound as they should. I mean, male vocals are perfect. They have the right amount of weight, the right amount of I'm trying to find the word here. They've got the right tonality, the right weight to them. Female vocals are, again, top. I mean, if I'll give you a quick example of what I'm talking about. If I talk about, for example, let me see, Moon River from Jacinta. This is an amazing song, honestly. You have to listen to it and to really get a feel for her voice. It does it flawlessly, honestly. It does it flawlessly. It's really, really good. Really, really good. Let me see another female vocal. Oh yeah, of course, how could I be forgetting? Melody Gardot, Sunset in the Blue. Fantastic. I mean, just, another perfect example. I'll link I'll link this playlist afterwards so you guys can actually listen to it. Cecile Norby, You, another female vocal which is absolutely tremendous. Elephant from Carol Duboc, which is one of my favorite songs to listen to. Beautifully done as well. But then if it's also something a little bit more dynamic, like Analog from Soul Persona, or Sweat, the JK Riv remix, the vocals also come out perfectly. So this tells me that the P8 is very capable in terms of its genres. It can do all genres very nice. It's not it's not an IM that will just do well with a specific type of music. No, it is, the tuning that they've done has been so well done that it will do well with basically anything that I threw at it of my usual selection of music. Okay, In terms of the high frequency, the treble, smooth, extended, perfect again. There's no harshness, there's no sibilance, there's no lack of polish, nothing. If anything, one of the things that when you actually look at the graph and compare it with the P8, the P5, sorry, in terms of the treble is they're very similar, but the fact that you've got just this little extra less bass here, and we're talking maybe a difference of 2 dBs, if that, the fact that it's got just that little extra bass over here, and the bass is cleaner, helps as well that treble then shine. So you get a perfect mids, perfect vocals that are immaculate in terms of their timbre, their tonality, they're organic, they true to what it should be, and then the highs carry on with that idea. So it's just really well done. There's nothing colored or excessive or out of bounds. So it's a beautifully done neutral sounding IEM that you would think, oh, because it's neutral, it's gonna lack some engagement, nothing, none of that. You have none of that. It is really well done. In terms of its the technicalities, as I mentioned, compared to the P5, fantastic soundstage, imaging, soundstage, detail retrieval, all of them are well improved. There's a big improvement over the P5, and the P5 was no slouch, but that was the area where, especially soundstage, was the area where some people were would have liked a little bit more sound stages. And the P8 has taken that and corrected it, made sure that technically it is a well executed IM. It will be an IM that will satisfy those of us that like all the twinklies and the sparklies and the technicalities and being able to pick up on the brushes and the guitar plucks and all that kind of stuff. This does it very well. And that's it. Basically, I think I've covered everything. There's really nothing that I think I missed. Technically, it's capable. Sound-wise, it's capable. Then how does it stack up with the rest of the players here? Well, the Mangit. I've always liked the Mangit T2. I'll be honest with you. I've always liked the Mangit T2. Also it's actually 1+6. Not a 1+7. It's a 1+6. And I think some people said it was kind of it's a blasphemy, the original T is better. Yeah, the original T, maybe, if you want that ultimate neutral kind of sound, yes, I guess you could say that maybe it's better. Personally, I think the original T was just lacking too much in terms of its being fun. You want an IEM that, yes, will give you that correctness, but also be somewhat engaging. And the original T lacked that, for me at least. The T2's got that in the perfect amount. Compared to the P8, the only area here where I see the Mangit being able to trade blows to a certain extent is the mids. The rest, the P8 is a superior IM. The bass is better well executed. Not so much the quantity of the bass, but it's how it is executed. So the bass is better executed, the highs are better executed, and the highs on the Mangit T2 are very good, mind you. So yeah, it's a definite upgrade. If you have the T2 and you want something which is taking things up a notch, definitely the P8 is that upgrade. Okay, that's Mangit T2 out of the way. Compared to the Blessing 3, well, the Blessing 3, I guess I understood the Blessing 3, and although I would have liked to have a little bit more bass, I have to admit that the bass quality is very good. What it lacks is the bass quantity, and basically this is going to be an exercise of making some more money, because the Dusk version will eventually come out, a critical collaboration definitely, and so they will make money again by selling the Dusk to those of us that were not satisfied with the Blessing. Do I think it's a correct thing to do? No, I personally don't think it's a correct thing to do, but this is what it is. This is the market, so what to do. Compared then to the to the P8. Yes, you have a bigger pinner gain, which does make the vocals and the mids be a little bit more forward, a little bit more energetic as compared to the P8. But overall, I like the balance of sound on the P8 better. The P8 sounds more inviting, definitely more bass, not only in terms of quantity, but in terms of quality as well. Better bass than the Blessing 3. And the only area where I would say that the Blessing 3 can kind of trade some blows is in the highs. The mids, they're not bad, but they just the fact that there's this lack of bass to fulfill the rest of the frequency spectrum, it just makes the sound, when compared to the P8, feel a little bit overly clinic, overly sterile, let's put it that way. Okay, so that's that out of the way. Compared to the DTE 500, not a fair comparison to start with, because obviously we're talking 459, 369, so there's about $100 difference, there's $90 difference here between the two. Now, the fact, and that's what was impressed me the most, was how, because that there, in my opinion, that and the 10th anniversary from Penon have probably got some of the best highs, some of the best EST highs under $1,000. Okay, I said it in my review of them, and I'll repeat it. ESTs are not easy to tune correctly, and you know, in the early days of ESTs being used in tribuds, that was definitely something that was a problem. And then only when we got the likes of like the variations and the oracles and the Excaliburs and the EJ07 and the EJ07M, that things start becoming more correctly done in terms of the implementation of ESTs. And that there has got some really, really well implemented ESTs. The highs are absolutely fantastic. Actually, I mean, if you saw my review of the DT 500, you will know very well that I think it's a really, really good IEM. The fact that the P8 is actually able to trade blows with that in terms of the upper mids and highs, again, says a lot for the P8. Is the P8 a better IEM than the DT 500? No, I think that they are very evenly matched. There are things that the P8 will do better. There are things that the DTE 500 will do better. What do I think that the P8 does better? The P8 does better that overall balance of sound, and that organicness of the sound just sounds more fulfilling. The DTE 500, I think, does slightly better than the P8 in terms of that ultimate detail in the upper mids and treble. It does it better here. And honestly, that's basically the only area where I saw a significant or a sufficient enough difference. The rest, very evenly matched. I mean, there are songs that, for me, the bass over there is better. For example, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. If we're talking about No Matter What from Frank McComb, okay? Perhaps here on the P8 it slightly edges out the DT 500, okay? But for example, Comfort Zone, the live version, slightly better in the DT 500. But trust me, with regards to the bass, they very, very equal. They very much trade blows with each other. There isn't a House of Groove. I would say that the P8 was the better one. It was the one that had a little bit more impact to those initial bass hits of the song. But for example, if we're talking about, let me see, La Belle Dame from Chris Botti, the DT 500, it's not that it's better, it just, I don't know what it is. If it's the matching of the guitar and the bass in the background, there's something there in the DT 500 just makes it just a little bit extra better than the P8. But the reality and you know, the overall conclusion is they are very much trading blows here. There is definitely not a better IM or worse IM. They very much trade blows. If we're not compared to the Banged and compared to the Blessing, yes, this is got enough points for it to justify I can say confidently it's better IM. Over there, no. Compared to the AUR audio, AUR, which is now discontinued. Those that remember when I reviewed it and when I talked about it, and I used to use it quite often, it definitely was one of the references that I had as an hybrid. I compared with the P5, for example, I thought that the P5 was very much capable of keeping up with it. We were talking $219 to $380, so a significant price difference. Okay, we were talking $180 roughly. $160 difference in price, but the P5 was very capable in terms of keeping up with the AUR. Bass almost identical, just a little bit more extra sub bass on the AUR, but the mid bass slam was the same. The transition into the mids and how the mids were handled and all the vocals, very much the same. And then actually I preferred the P5, to be honest, in terms of the highs. There's more extension, more detail, so better detailed retrieval. In terms of its technicalities, they kind of traded blows as well. And they were both very good. They are both very good, and I like them very much. You know, there isn't really again one that I would say is outright the winner, because whatever faults might exist between these two, the fact that we were talking about such a big price difference kind of worked in favor for the P5. With regards to the P8, in my opinion, and with the music that I listen to, there is no longer that kind of trading blows here, and the P8 is a better IEM in my opinion. End of story. It does enough things sufficiently well to justify it edging out the AUR. There's more polish. There's more. A song like The Sea from Haven. The atmosphere that the P8 creates is just that little extra better than the AUR. Okay, it's just not a big difference, but it's just a little extra better. 80s from Bureau Mueller. Again, you know, the bass hits, the drum hits, the cymbals, just that little extra better. Okay, however, you know, it's not all P8. For example, if we were talking about Strive from Amber Rubarth, the AUR edges out slightly the P8. But at the end of the day, there are more times that the P8, in my opinion, does things slightly better, and then obviously justify it being a better IM overall. It's not, please keep in mind, it's not a bloodbath, it's not a huge difference, no. They are very even. What happens here is the same thing that happens over there. But while over there, it's really difficult to kind of see big, huge differences. Over here, there are more times where you see those differences. And especially the area where you especially see differences in between the AUR and the P8 is in the upper mids and the treble. The upper mids and the treble of the P8 are absolutely amazing. I mean, I just mentioned a couple of minutes ago, if it is able to keep up with that which has ESTs, I think that says a lot. It says that the guys that tuned the P8 know how to tune BAs properly for them to really sound amazing. There's no BA timbre, there's nothing. Seriously, it is that good. So yeah, guys, that's basically it. I mean, there isn't really much more that I can say about the P8 other than it's a winner in my books. It's a fantastic IM. It's well built, sounds amazing. Again, shoots way above its price point. The same way that the P5 was being able to play with IEMs or to go up against IEMs of $400, $500, maybe even $600 quite easily. The P8 does that again quite easily. The P8 will very easily keep up with the likes of, for example, a Unique Melodies mixed, in my opinion. Very easily will keep up with it. And I mentioned it as well. I mean, if it was trading some blows with the likes of a Penon Impact, which is an IM that costs $2,500, I think that is a true testament to how good it is. Anyway, I'll show you now the graphs, and that's it, and we'll wrap it up. Hi guys, and welcome now to the graph section of the AFUL Performer 8. Let me just take away all these graphs and leave us with the Performer 8's graph. Okay, this is the measured graph of my AFUL Performer 8, and as I was mentioning, I mean, this is neutral. I mean, it's neutral with this slight base, let's say, boost, or a slight warmer base. Everything stays within 77 to 84, so roughly 7 dBs. There's a tendency of this ultimate sub base being the highest point, and then it starts dropping off after the initial pinna gain. As I mentioned, a little bit of sub bass focus, very gliding way of doing the bass into the mid bass, flat by 200 hertz basically. Carries on very slow. The pinna gain then begins very slowly, very subtly, peaks at about 2.2, slight drop off, then carries on, a little peak here at around 6.5 kilohertz, and then drop off, extension, and well, you can't really fault it anything. It's well tuned. It plays fantastic. First one that I'm going to show you is its younger brother, the P5, and you can see there's a little bit of a difference there in the mid bass, maybe 2 dBs if that much, which does give it a little bit more mid bass impact. The treble, basically the treble is very similar, a little bit more energy, past 10k as well, very similar, but you just feel that everything in the P8 is just done in a more polished manner, while on the P5 it's not that it's up and down all over the place. No, it's not. But you have variations there of maybe 3 dBs between the highest point of the pinna gain and the lowest point there, and just like a small roller coaster. By comparison, the P8 is just basically flat, and you notice it. It's sometimes it's so difficult to convey certain things. You listen to the P5 and it sounds absolutely fantastic. There's nothing wrong with the P5. Okay, and graphs must be taken as well with a certain take it with a little bit of in a bit relaxed manner. Don't go everything no. So the P5 is amazing. You listen to the P8 and it's very noticeable that the P8 is that polished up, but polished up in a manner which you can easily pick up on it. It's not that, oh, okay, it's just a little bit better. No, it's very easy to see that it's a better IEM, okay? So that's the P5. Next one that I'm going to show you is the AFUL Audio AFUL. Yes, more bass. Yes, you can notice it's got more bass quantity. Apologies here for the neighbor's dog. And then it's kind of, there's a following more or less of the same way of doing the pinna gain, just more energetic. There's a speak here 4.5, which is noticeable on the AFUL, mind you. It is noticeable. You do pick up on it. It doesn't offend me, but you do pick up on that area there being just a little bit more energetic, especially when you've listened to the P8. You will pick it up more easily. And then it shows what seems to be pretty decent treble and extension past 10k, but when you actually listen to it, it doesn't come across that way. Why? In my opinion, well, first of all, because you've got mids and upper mids which are way more energetic. So this balance here kind of pends towards more being mids than treble, first of all. And then you've also got a little extra amount of treble of bass, which also doesn't help to really let the upper mids and the treble shine in the way that they can shine. This is not saying that the AFUL's treble is not good. No, the AFUL's treble is very good. But if, for example, and let me just take away this out and put here the P5. If, for example, when comparing the P5 to the AFUL, I could easily pick up on the P5 having more treble. It was there, more present, without a question, and more detail past 10. Okay, very noticeable the difference. When I compare the same area with the P8, you would think that no, okay, it doesn't seem that it's as, no, it's even more noticeable, especially because the balance between the bass and the way that the bass integrated into the mids has been done in a more polished up manner. So this whole area of mids, upper mids and treble just shines in a very noticeable manner. Okay, so that's the AFUL audio out of the way. Number 9 now. This is the blessing, and I think it's very self-explanatory. There's no comparison in terms of the bass. The mids here are, somewhat similar, and there is a certain amount of similarity. It's then in the upper mids and the treble that the blessing is way more energetic, and then that balance between the earlier parts of the spectrum is not as well obtained, and so everything just ends up sounding more clinical, more sterile, especially when you compare it straight away with the P8. You listen to the P8 and you pick up on it very easily. And even though it's got more energy in the upper mids and treble, the warmth of the bass, which would actually help let that part shine, it's like I said, it just sounds more sterile. Okay, so that's the blessing 3 out of the way. The next one now is the DT 500. Okay, and I think the graph as well explains a lot of what I was saying in terms of the similarities. The bass is almost identical, the way that then it starts doing its rise of the pin again, and even this minor dip here, it's not noticeable. It's just these two IMs are really very closely matched in the way that they sound, very closely matched. And that's why they trade blows. It's one is better sometimes in one aspect, and the other one is better sometimes in another aspect. And although you think, oh, okay, but the DTE seems to have less extension past 10K than the P8, yes, but it's EST, so you notice that there's more there. Okay, that's that. And finally, the Mangard T2. And again, as I mentioned, and you can see very well what I was saying, the similarities in terms of the graph are, I would almost, if you had told me that this is a left and right channel, okay, with some imbalance, but this is a left and right channel of the same IEM, I would believe you, honestly, I would. And as I was saying when I was talking about the Mangard a little bit earlier, let me just change this to a color which you can see better. Let me just put it here in blue. There we go. Graphically, everything up to about 4K is very similar. Okay, it's then in the upper mids, treble, and then extension where you do see the difference between the two, and it's all about, again, polish in terms of how that part of the spectrum is done on the P8 as compared to the Mangard. And in terms of the bass, although they seem identical, the bass of the P8 just has this extra texture, this extra life to it, which is very, I mean, it's really a good IM. And I apologize if I sound like a broken record and I repeat myself so many times, but this is it. It's a well executed, well tuned IM that plays really well, and that's it. I cannot come up with words that are not true or things that it's as simple as that. It's a good IM. End of story. Anyway, guys, as always, like and subscribe. Any questions that you might have, please feel free to ask. And don't forget, make sure you really subscribe. I want to continue doing these videos for you guys, but I also need you guys to help me make my channel grow a little bit better, so that I can get more goods for you guys to listen to me talk to about, and that's it. All right. Anyway, you take care. Bye bye.